I want to ask a couple of our servant leaders here to come and give a bit of a report. Rob Smith is from the board, and Rob's coming that way, and he's going to share a first quarter financial report from the board, and then he's got one of his teammates, Ben, who's going to come and add to it. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning. Nothing like grinding a service to a halt with the dreaded financial update. I think I'm going to join the Graceland dancers. It's got to be at least as much fun as this. Many of you view these reports as unpleasant but necessary. So, really quick, we are, on behalf of the board, we feel it's important to update you periodically throughout the year as to how we're doing. On the left-hand side of this screen, you've seen these numbers before. They've been in the bulletin for the last few weeks, a version of them anyway. Our March givings, regular givings, actually look to be positive at first glance, and not to put a negative spin on it, but that $64,000 has embedded in it two one-time gifts that total about $10,000. So when you back those out, we're actually trending below what the budgeted needs of the church are. And not to discourage one-time special gifts. They're greatly appreciated. We need them. We just can't plan on them and budget for them, so it makes it a little bit difficult. Looking to the right, as you can see, we continue to trend below what it costs. The overall costs are to operate the church and to sustain all of the programs that we believe in and value throughout the year. So these are things like children's ministry, adult faith development, worship and services outreach, the Friday night communities, pastoral care, and just basic things like keeping the lights on and paying our utility bills are kind of important. So we tend to be in a pattern of starting slow and finishing strong. So this isn't to be discouraging, but if we do continue on this path with that trend, we could potentially end up with a shortfall. Multiply that 24,000 by 4, and you get to $100,000 quickly. So we've been working with stewardship. We're coming up with some plans as to how we can reverse this trend. And right now, I'm going to call on my friend Ben Petrie to lay out a way, or one of the ways that we can all be a part of closing this gap and reversing this trend, because it may be easier than it looks at first glance.
Thanks, Rob. So as Rob mentioned, my name is Ben Petrie. My wife Michelle and I joined the church a number of years ago when we had 3 young boys in Graceland. So hopefully I'm a familiar face to many of you. I probably don't know everybody. So as Rob mentioned, out of a willingness to become more involved, I joined the stewardship committee some time ago, and it was evident to me, and I think everyone on the committee, that there's a problem, there's a shortfall, and it seems to be a pretty consistent thing, and the weekly amount that comes into the church isn't what we need to fund what's set out in the budget. And the good news is that, at least for now, it's a solvable problem, and that with a widespread effort, I think we can fix this problem if there's attention brought to it and a mutual desire to do so. So how solvable is it? Well, in each week, as Rob said, there's about 24,000 just short of that for the first quarter of the year, or the first 3 months of the year. Each week, there's about 275 families or individuals that give. So if you do the math, that works out to about $7 per week per giver. So for the cost of about $1 a day per giver, this problem goes away. So it's not to suggest that this is the end of the road for financial challenges for the church. Certainly there are others, and there's more. And as Rob described, as the committee, we're going to attempt to do something later in the year to describe how that works and the needs of the church and what that means for us as a congregation of attendees. But we wanted to bring this to your attention now so we could address it. This is a problem, like most financial problems, that will get bigger over time if it isn't corrected. And so we wanted to not wait until later in the year where short-term measures would be needed, but bring this to attention so we could solve this and have a sustained solution where a year from now we wouldn't be in this position, or at least not to the same degree. Also, we know, and I think it's always important as part of an announcement like this to say that, certainly there's people who aren't in a position to give. Finances are very personal. There's all sorts of different circumstances out there. So if this is not you, if you can't give to the church, then by all means, disregard this announcement and think about it at another time later where perhaps circumstances are different. But if that's not you, and perhaps you're given to the church or you're in a position to give, but you haven't started to giving, I'm up here to ask that you would join with Michelle and me and join with people around you and the people at 11 o'clock and consider being part of solving this problem by increasing the amount that you give to the church each week, even if it's by just a very few dollars, so that this problem can be set aside and we can move on to the better, more positive aspects of the church. Lastly, I know that some people give by pre-authorized remittance, and that's a great way to give. It's easy to let that go without changing it, and I know that's been our case. We haven't changed it in quite some time. So there will be a table outside with forms that if you're in a position to do so, you can fill out a form and change the amount you give every month to be part of this. That's it.